Gideon Saar is the Israeli foreign minister, and I welcome him to the Faulkner Focus exclusively today. Look, I want to start with talking about the supreme leader, the new one that they say they've selected and put in place in Iran, Mujtbā and Khomeini, and just get your thoughts, dead or alive. There are conflicting reports. I want to start there. What are we dealing with him?
You asked a good question. Where is Mujtbā? I mean, they elected the leader. He's not there. You can hide, but it's better to show up. You can have a video and prove you are alive. It's starting to be embarrassing for the Iranian regime. So let's see, where is Mujtbā? It's an open question.
And what have your intelligence people been able to gather that you can share at this point, not just on his whereabouts, but what does the military and governmental infrastructure look like inside of that country now? Can they regather? Can they galvanize again quickly?
Well, a huge portion, most of it, of their not only military capabilities, but also military industries were destroyed, but we still have work to do there. And it is very important to keep this mad country. We see how they are acting against all their neighboring states, including the Arab states. They are shooting unprovoked on each of these states. They also use something which is close to modern piracy in the Strait of Hormuz. It is something very dangerous. The Houthis started to do that in the Red Sea during the war against us, but now it might become like a new practice of mad regimes, and that will affect the cost of the living everywhere. So they want to take the whole global community as an hostages. That must be stopped, and I think that we are lucky to have a world leader like President Trump that stood up to the challenge and is a leader in deeds. Think how much the world was safer if in previous decades we would have leaders that confronted that. For example, when North Korea tried to develop nuclear weapon, and eventually they did that because the threats that President Clinton said then was not translated to deeds. And now it's much less safer for the neighbors, for Japan, for North Korea. So it is very important when you see such a challenge to the world's security to act. And I think, as I said, we are lucky to have President Trump on board in the U.S. as much as we have Prime Minister Netanyahu here in Israel.
You know, one of the concerns that we've been kind of watching from interviewing and talking with just the public here in America is how the two countries, yours and ours, are working together. And I'm wondering, from your point of view in Israel as foreign minister, what is your political objective at this moment? Is it regime change? Roaring Lion and Operation Epic Fury are different militarily, but their goals and their objectives are what for you?
Well, from our perspective, we want to remove for the long term existential threats from the state of Israel. It is not our wish to go to a new war every year. So it is possibly very hard to do that with the current mad regime in Iran. So now we are trying to weaken this regime by hurting its, I would say, repressive branches like Revolutionary Guards, like the Basij, making it, I would say, possible for the Iranian people to get their freedom, to get their liberty. Eventually, it will be up to them, not to us. But honestly, it was not possible to do that, and it is not possible to do that without any kind of external help, because we saw what the regime had done. They killed and they butchered thousands and thousands of their own people, and no one came to help them. So I believe that we should do our utmost, of course, to degrade their power, to threaten all this region, but in the same time to try to create the conditions for the Iranian people in order to make this change possible.
Well, Foreign Minister, the United States came to help them. The President of the United States, Trump, promised to try to help the Iranian people get to the place where they could take their country back. Those are my words, not his. But to step up in their own freedom. And now with both countries, yours and ours, working together, you can achieve so much militarily. But he did mean to and has come to help. How much more optimistic are you now than you were, say, 3 weeks ago before this entire thing began about peace in the Middle East, or at least an understanding that Iran won't threaten the way it used to because of Israel and the United States moving in?
I think we are already in a situation when Iran is much weaker. Iran is not the country it was 3 weeks ago. It is clearly not the country before the operation of June 2025. So altogether, President Trump had done that, and also the capabilities of this regime to threaten everyone is decreased significantly. And with the issue of the Iranian people, I think we saw they have this desire for freedom, and I believe they will demonstrate that in the future. Of course, it is dangerous. It's not a regime that tolerates liberty wishes, but I believe that we saw that this wish is very strong among the Iranian people, and we will see it in the future. This is my belief.
Look, the really lingering question all over the world is what brings this to an end? Your quick thought on that, Foreign Minister.
Well, in war, you should have objectives more than a timeline. If you have a timeline and you say it publicly, and your enemy hears that, obviously, it doesn't help you to get your objectives. So I'll stay with that.
Foreign Minister Saar, it is great to have you on the program today. God bless. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, Harris. Thank you.